World of Warcraft has just celebrated its 20th anniversary, and we got lots of cool stuff with it, such as world bosses, time walking dungeons, and a brand new celebration area where players could earn the upgraded tier 2 sets. While all this is cool, World of Warcraft also announced something even bigger: the re-release of WoW Classic. 3 brand new classic servers which would allow players to experience World of Warcraft just like it was in 2004. Now, I have mentioned in a couple of previous videos that I don't really like Classic. However, this new release, I was convinced by my friend Levy to give it a try. So that's what I did in my last video, which I suggest you watch before this one. And today, we continue that journey. Last time was my first time playing, and it was all about the exploration and learning the basics of the game. But this time we have ambitions and goals to strive towards, and the goal would be to complete a run of my first ever classic dungeon, the Deadmines. Before the video starts, I would like to say that I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so any help is appreciated. It costs you nothing, and it means the world to me. Logging in for the day, we were at Loch Moden, and we were currently teetering on the edge of level 18. Now, according to my friend Levy, I would want to wait until level 19 until I attempted doing the Deadmines, so we had a little work to do first. Whilst we were in Loch Moden, we did have a couple of elite quests where we have to basically murder a load of ogres and kill Chalk Soul and take his head. So I joined a group of players to help me on this quest, and we got it done pretty quickly. Afterwards, we were done with Loch Moden, so I would have to find another place to get XP. But first, I headed into Stormwind to list a load of crap on the auction house before heading to Redridge Mountains to finish the quest that I didn't complete last time. Now that we were in Redridge, we had quite a few quests to keep us busy, and thanks to the elite quests that we did in Loch Moden, we were actually about halfway through level 18. And first up was a good old-fashioned gnoll quest. Kill lots of different types of gnolls and pick up a couple of quest items from them. Luckily this time the spawns were pretty quick for them. The only real issue I had with these quests were the giant groups of gnolls that would spawn around the campfires, but luckily for me, there were a couple of other players also going about doing the quests, and they invited me to join their group. Once we were finished with those couple of quests, I could obviously turn them in, which is what pushed me over into level 19, which means that I was now high enough level to attempt the Deadmines. So I halted everything else I was doing and headed into Westfall and towards the Deadmines. Once we were stood outside of the dungeon, I can't lie, I was somewhat nervous. Only because Levy had told me to tank, and I've never tanked before. Never in Classic, and never really in Retail either. But I thought, screw it. There really is only one way to learn how. Once we had a full group, we were casually waiting outside for everyone to be here and ready, and then we started making our way towards the dungeon entrance. I at first questioned why we weren't waiting outside the entrance to the dungeon itself, but I quickly realized why. One thing I really liked was that there were a ton of elite mobs to take down before the dungeon itself, almost like a sort of mini quest. Once we were in, we just got stuck right into it and started taking down the hordes of Defias miners and making our way to the first boss, Rakzor. Pulling the first boss, we first worked on taking down the 2 Defias watchmen that spawned alongside Rakzor before taking him down himself. And with that, I can officially say I have defeated my first ever classic dungeon boss. Loot wise, nothing dropped, but that was okay because we still had a ton of other opportunities to make some nice upgrades. Moving towards the next boss, I was just trying to take my time as I still had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Moving into a room full of goblins now, I honestly appreciate being told what to do by my little gnome friend, as it not only helped make the run as smooth as possible, but would also give me an idea of what to do in future runs when I maybe don't have someone to guide me through everything. Once we got to the actual boss, we first had to take down this big mechanical thing before the guy inside would pop out, and luckily a really nice two-handed axe dropped, but unfortunately my stupid ass clicked greed, and sadly it was given to the rogue. Moving into another room full of goblins, I was told by my gnome friend to be careful here, and I kind of relied on the other warrior that was with us to throw their knives to pull the mobs towards us. This boss was really no big deal, we just had to take down one other ad around it and then nuke the boss itself. Loot-wise, a very nice ring dropped, which of course I did not win, and then it was back to killing hordes of Defias miners before we would enter the room with the big ship inside of it. We slowly made our way to the next boss across the bridge, killing all of the Defias pirates along the way, and this boss was the first boss so far with any sort of mechanic to it, where he would stun the party twice and then drink something. As for the loot, there really wasn't anything of any significance whatsoever. Now moving on to the hardest part of this entire dungeon, which was in fact not a boss, but it was this spiraling ramp thingy, only because I was told that this area can be quite buggy, and if I wasn't careful, I could end up pulling every mob on the way up, and of course I didn't want that. So I once again just relied on the other warrior to use his little throwing knives to slowly pull each pack of mobs, and with some patience we were able to get through it no problem, which also meant we now have to take on the goblin boss that was patrolling around the top area of the ship. This one also wasn't that big of a deal, and we just simply focused the 2 ads first and then took the boss down afterwards. As for the loot, the Emberstone staff dropped, which is obviously a very nice pickup for the mage that was with us. Now moving on to the technically last boss of the dungeon, Edwin Van Cleef. This boss was kind of annoying as he does come with 2 ads, but the difference with these ads is that they would constantly respawn, so really we had to just nuke Edwin until we got him down and then clean up the ads around him. The loot we got from him was the Cape of the Brotherhood, which is obviously another really nice piece for anyone to pick up, but of course I did not win it. Dropping down onto the final boss of the dungeon was Cookie. Literally just a big Murloc with more HP, and luckily for the mage, the wand dropped. This run truly did stack the mage up very nicely, but honestly I was fine with that since he was very helpful in guiding me through the dungeon, so fair enough. And with that, I can officially say that I have completed my first ever WoW Classic dungeon. I got absolutely zero loot, but you know what? It was fun. So fun, in fact, that I literally just turned around and did it again. Only this time, I was playing it a little bit more aggressive as I was starting to feel a bit more confident, but of course being careful in the areas that I needed to be. At the end of this run, I once again walked out with literally nothing, but that's okay because I turned around and did it again. Now, the third one was slightly different as there was a slight altercation between 2 players, as one of the players had gotten a little greedy and snatched the chest that had spawned and was kicked from the group. But no matter, we continued on as 4, being extra careful this time. The other difference with this run is that I actually went and picked up the quest you get after the escort mission, which would later reward me with a nice piece of gear. Now, when we got to Edwin, we did successfully manage to take him down as 4, and the one piece of gear that I was told to chase, which was the blackened Defias armor, and it did happen to drop. And I think I did audibly gasp as this was my chance to get a serious upgrade, and to my surprise, I did actually win it, and was overjoyed that I could finally leave a dungeon run with a worthy upgrade. And to accompany my newly acquired chest piece, I turned in the quest that I had grabbed and was able to get a nice set of pants. So me, a retail player, has not only taken on my first ever classic dungeon, but has tanked my first ever classic dungeon. So what do I think? Well, it definitely is different. It's far simpler than dungeons are in modern WoW, but it is difficult in its own way. Although I think difficult is a strong word to use because frankly, neither retail or classic WoW really require any sort of mechanical skill, but it's more so long as you are careful, then you will come out on top. One of the things I do like is that every piece of loot means something. Every time a blue item dropped, I got excited. Even even if I didn't need it, which is something that is honestly non-existent in modern WoW, at least while leveling anyway. But I am super excited to find out how all of the other classic dungeons compare to how they are in retail. I hope you all enjoyed this video because I enjoyed making it, I always do. I am interested to know though, if you have played both retail and classic, which of the two do you think holds the better dungeon experience? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, enough yapping. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later.